Welcome along to episode 37 of the Top Loaded podcast. And it's a very good weekend again for us. And if my voice is a bit croaky, yeah, there was a certain number 9 playing for Chelsea that I was abusing yesterday. I'm just not putting that out there, but that's why this shirt is the shirt of this week. So, Harry, how you doing?
Yes, yeah, very well, thanks, Ronnie, mate. Yeah, pleased after the weekend result, back to the top of the table. So cannot argue with that. One game left before the World Cup. So yeah, hopefully we can go into that still at the top of the table. And yeah, keep our aspirations alive.
Yeah, it was incredible weekend for sport for us. But like we say, we could talk about football a lot, but we like talking about the cardboard that it's printed on. So we're debating where to start for this episode, and I think something that happened today is actually going to be where we start. And I'm just going to let you run with it, and then we're going to talk about it. So just talk to people through about that Arsene Wenger you received today.
Yeah, come home today, and I actually bought a Arsene Wenger sticker from the 1997 Merlin. Saw it on eBay, fairly decent price, and thought it looked like in fairly good nick as well. Got home, checked the post, and it's come in just your box standard paper envelope. And I sent a picture to you and everyone, and I was like, I swear this better be in a top load, or this better be have some protection around it. Opened the package up, and yeah, I mean, you've heard of penny sleeves, but how about a penny bag? The ones you put the 1p's in. That's what it was in, attached to some cardboard. It was like I was doing like a heart operation to try and cut it out of this paper bag. I was like, I cannot touch the sticker. If I try and rip the sellotape, it's going to rip the sticker. I mean, I've seen worse. Like I've seen worse packaging, like no cardboard, nothing. So I wasn't that let down, but to not even be in a proper sleeve nor a top loader, the guy had like 2,500 feedback. And now you're sort of like, you must have packaged these things off thousands of times. But yeah, thankfully it is now in a sleeve, in a top loader, in my room. Yeah, in safe condition. So that will be soon going off to SGC. And hopefully, in the condition it's in, it doesn't seem like it's too bad. Hopefully, it will be sort of maybe 7, 8. Might be optimistic there, but yeah, it was definitely a heart and mouth moment.
I definitely remember when I received one from them. But I think it's one of them that there's some people obviously who are selling these stickers and cards. Well, not really cards, more the stickers that are just not really into the trading aspect and like the actual hobby wise. So I can understand why some people don't understand the concept of protecting the stickers, especially. But like you say, it's a very much a heart attack moment because you're like, literally anything could happen. Like even the postman bending the envelope to put it into the letterbox. And I remember before I've received one, it was just in a normal white envelope, and I was like, God, imagine if you drop this in a puddle or something, especially like the weather we've been having. And it's just,
yeah,
it's one of them that you can't blame some people because they just don't know about obviously your penny sleeves and your top loaders. But like I say, it is a risky one, especially with such a nice sticker. And it's not like a brand new sticker either. It's over 20 years old for hopefully not to be damaged. And obviously,
I mean, yeah, it's like if it was a card, like the way it was packaged, like you could get rid of the sellotape, you could try and peel it off, but where it's a sticker, I was trying to get rid of the sellotape, it was just pulling the sticker at the other end, and I was like, if I pull this too hard, like it's going to completely rip this sticker apart. So yeah, I had to get the old little scissors out and give it a little snip around the edges, and managed to finally get it out in one piece. So yeah, that could breathe a sigh of relief after that. But yeah, I just said, like the sticker's what, 23 years old? No, 25 years old. So yeah, to try and keep it in good nick and send it literally in a penny bag. Like if penny sleeves were that expensive, I'd be like, you know what, mate, fair enough. But they're called penny sleeves for a reason. So yeah, but as I said, panic over. It's in a sleeve, in a top loader. So yeah.
Yeah, I think obviously the actual discussion around how to send cards and stickers is quite an interesting one because obviously a lot of people are split. Personally, I actually done a few, like sent a few bits off today, and I think how I always go about it is obviously always got to be a bubble mailer. If it's not a bubble mailer, it's too big and it's a box, obviously bubble wrap. Always try and team bag it, maybe put a couple of base cards either side just to protect it. But it's quite intriguing because I've received so many different cards in different shapes and capacities from normal white envelopes where I thought it was going to be a bill and actually turned out to be a card, which is always nice. But I don't know how you would go about it, but what if you was going to send out a card or a sticker? How would you go about sending that? And what kind of protection? Because I think it's quite important that some people listening to this might be brand new to the hobby and they might not understand like the difference between preparing your cards and packing it right.
Yeah, definitely. I think, the way I've always done it is I've always gone bubble mailer, like without a doubt. It's got a bit more protection in the envelope then rather than just sending it in a bulk standard white paper envelope. So for me, obviously the main point is always a bubble mailer. You then always got penny sleeve, you then always got a top loader. My biggest bugbear is like don't sellotape the top loader together. Like don't try and just like enclose it because then you get sellotape marks all over the top loader. And I mean, like, I think we shared a similar opinion where when you get a brand new card in, I always put a fresh penny sleeve and a fresh top loader. So obviously, like, yeah, it's always best to send it in one, but I'll always obviously then put it in a brand new one when it gets delivered. But yeah, for me, it's always got to be bubble mailer, penny sleeve, top loader, and then like you said, I always put it in a big team bag with a few base cards either side, and put a little business card in there as well. So that's the way I've always done it. But I said, yeah, I've seen a lot of really random ways of packaging, protecting. I mean, I've had like cereal boxes delivered before, like with like half a Cocoa Pops box cut out. And it's like, I respect the creativity, but I mean, as long as the card gets your own piece, like I'm not overly fussed, but there's so many more simpler ways of packaging a card. But yeah, for me, they're the 3-4 main basic steps to package and protect the card.
Oh, definitely. I think, like we say, it's just protect. Even it can be a pound card or £1,000 card. It's just making sure that it gets to the person in the same condition you left. Obviously, sometimes the Royal Mail or whatever service you send it with don't do you the favors of potentially dropping it or folding it in half. That's why I always try and write fragile or something on it, like just to double check. But it's always an intriguing one when you're sending stuff out and receive. Sometimes I actually enjoy receiving it more just to see the packaging it's in, and obviously most of the time it's perfect and bubble mailed up and stuff like that. But then sometimes, like you say, you get the nice cereal box or whatever, and then I'm like, oh, I know what you've had for dinner recently. So yeah, like it's great fun. But I think obviously just moving on from that, and obviously there was quite some big news this week in terms of PSA and PSA UK, which has been a bit quiet this week in terms of, well, not this week, but since the announcement. Obviously, we've got the statement up on screen, which we're going to read through in a second. But obviously, it's got to be a good now. Quite a while ago that PSA announced the agreement with Ludkins to become the official, like to rebrand into PSA UK to be like the official middleman for PSA. And like we said, we didn't really hear much about it after the announcement. I don't know if you'd agree that it was like a load of hype at the beginning and it just went quiet.
Yeah, I think when PSA first announced PSA UK, I think it got a lot of ears up in terms of people thinking, okay, like PSA are starting to appreciate and realize the sheer number of collectors that are over in the UK that want to use PSA services. You've already got the likes of Jim, the Grading Club that already do send to PSA. And I think when a lot of people found out that it was Ludkins that were becoming rebranding as PSA UK, I think it was like a bit of a big dip. I think it was quite a bit of a okay, PSA UK, and then okay, it's Ludkins. So I think there's been a lot of quietness recently in terms of people that haven't heard anything about their cars they sent with Ludkins. And I was even speaking to somebody the other day that had sent them off with Ludkins and literally heard nothing in about 10 to 12 months. But yeah, I think it was a big hype around the start where we thought PSA were finally realizing that there's a market in the UK for them, and probably a smoother, more streamlined process. But yeah, I think recently where we have now read very recently that wasn't the case with Ludkins.
Yeah, so 3 days ago, well, 4 days before this comes out, 3 days ago, PSA did make an official announcement via their website and also Instagram, but it does read, Dear PSA UK collectors, effective immediately, PSA is discontinuing its relationship with Ludkins Collectibles, in brackets Ludkins. Ludkins is no longer an authorized PSA dealer or allowed to use the name PSA UK. Ludkins has failed to pay PSA for its services, while PSA believes that Ludkins has already collected payment from its customers, which, before we go into it, obviously it's a massive red flag that so for people who don't know how PSA works is you send the cards off to them, and then when they have finished grading and going to send back, then PSA charge you, whereas some others charge you up front. PSA don't do that. And obviously a massive red light straight away that Ludkins have not paid anyone. So that means cards have gone over to PSA, which they do address in a minute, which is obviously never great because, like you say, people are trusting them with some, no doubt, some massive cards and some, not even, it can be a £5 card, but it could be a gem of someone's collection or a very rare card that they might not be able to get back. So that's obviously, first of all, which they've had to get across straight away. And I think this PSA statement, when we do read into it, is a very good one, just addressing the situation. And like we said, we're going to talk about it because I think it's quite big for the UK. There's even though PSA has not been paid by Ludkins, all cards that have been received by PSA, in brackets, last order received September 28, 2022, which is actually not too long ago, have been graded and are in PSA's possession. Furthermore, PSA have offered to return the cards to Ludkins despite lack of payment, so that Ludkins could return the cards to their customers, which unfortunately was met with resistance and further demands. Our focus is now determined on a safe path to return these cards to rightful owners without Ludkins' involvement. Unfortunately, Ludkins has not shared any details with PSA on which cards belong to which customers. So PSA is currently unable to individually engage with Ludkins customers to return their cards directly. To return the cards to the correct customers in the safest way possible, PSA will move forward with a formal disposition process for all unpaid orders submitted from Ludkins UK. Once completed, the disposition process will allow PSA to take legal possession of the cards and, with the help of a third party, return them to the rightful owners. We will provide timings updates in future communication, as our number one goal is to return these cards to their owners. PSA will not be asking Ludkins customers to pay again for the grading services and will only be asked to cover return shipping. Before we move to the last bit, like just digressing that bit, it's crazy. I think this is that people, obviously PSA are going out their way now to say, look, don't worry about the price of the cards. We just want to get them back to customer. And Ludkins have literally said, no, we're not going to help you do that. I think that is crazy.
I think there's one thing where I'm genuinely a loose end as to how they're going to be able to track down, without Ludkins UK's help or cooperation, how they're going to be able to return them to the rightful owners, I guess, if you like. Because obviously in Ludkins database has got everyone's card they've submitted, who they belong to, their return addresses. And for me, without being able to access that, I genuinely don't have any idea. Obviously, they're probably in a much better position than we are to comment on that front. But I just think, from my end, I have no idea how they're going to be able to return them back to the correct customers, because it just doesn't. Anyone can message them and be like, "Oh yeah, I had a whatever card in grading, like that's mine." But the only thing they guess they can have is proof of their email, maybe where they, I don't know how Ludkins did the process, but with proof of the cards they sent in, or I honestly have no idea how they're going to do that. But it's a big statement from PSA, and I think one that needed to happen. And I think, they've handled and communicated the situation quite well from PSA's end. But yeah, I genuinely have no idea how they're going to try and track down who these cards belong to.
Yeah, and I think it's a very difficult situation. And the last part of the statement, look ahead, we are making changes to increase the confidence in PSA and our dealer program to collectors in the UK and around the globe. If you're a customer of Ludkins and believe that you have cards that may not have been returned, then please use the Google link that is on this page. So if anyone don't know, if you go onto the PSA website under announcements or on their Instagram, there's a link in their bio, so they can collect the information that will aid us return your cards. For more information about PSA news announcements, be sure to follow them on their social media platforms. So, like we say, it's going to be a very hard situation because obviously the person's got to prove it's their card. But what I quite like as well is because you have to say that you've had something, you won't know what's there. I think that's what could be the tricky bit. If they would have said, "Oh, we have these cards," whereas people should know what they've got at Ludkins, so they should be able to say it. But like I say, if anyone has been affected by this, definitely contact PSA via the links, because obviously everyone wants to get your cards back properly, and no doubt it's going to be very painful and painstaking for people that have got their cards out there and not sure if they're going to get them back. So we do hope that everyone who's affected by it actually does get a resolution for their issue. And like we say, personally, I've used a grading club quite a few times, so I can say that I do trust Aaron, and I know quite a few people have used Jim as well. So they're two are definitely ones to look forward. And like I say, it's not any customer's fault, because you see them like with PSA UK, and you expect that PSA they've done their due diligence. So it's some things like this sadly happen. So like I say, there is good people out there to handle your cards and deal with. So they're the two that within the UK, I'd say definitely use. And like we say, it's hopefully they can get a resolution very soon and people can get their cards back, because the last thing anyone wants is for their cards to be stuck in the States or wherever. But the question I have, and like the talking point is, does this have an effect, do you think, on how PSA are going to actually work within the UK? Because obviously they've gone down the line of a middleman service that basically it's just everyone sends their cards to them and then you send them off. Do you think PSA are going to go back, like try and find someone else to run this? Or do you think they might just be like, wait and maybe a year or so and actually just do it all themselves rather than the middleman?
I don't think, for me, it's going to put PSA massively off trying to get over to the UK. I think they probably could have done a bit more research in the first instance before they decided to go with Ludkins. I don't think it's going to affect collectors massively, because also we do have, like you say, the likes of the grading club, the likes of Jim, who well renowned, well respected, sort of middlemen, if you like, that have successfully sent PSA, SGC, whatever, that they obviously people can vouch for them. So yeah, I don't think it's going to affect the hobby too greatly, but I just think it may take PSA a little while again to build up that respect, because I don't think they're going to be. They need to get this out of the way first. They need to get all these cards back to the right owners before they even consider doing anything else with bringing PSA back to the UK. Yeah, I mean, like, I even saw, I'm in a Pokemon Facebook group, and this guy sent over 200 Pokemon cards to Ludkins. I think it was like £1,700 for them to sort of hear this statement come out. It's gut wrenching. But yeah, like I said, I think there's still, we're still optimistic. I'm still hopeful that PSA will find a better solution by being in the UK. But for me, I think the reputation that Ludkins had prior to them becoming PSA UK, there was red flags and question marks already there. And I think it was only a matter of time before this potentially came out. But yeah, I'm definitely hopeful that PSA will still find a way of getting into the UK. But I think, yeah, the main priority now needs to be to resolve this issue.
Definitely, and like we both echo that anyone who's been affected, hopefully your cards will get sorted out very soon, and no doubt it's a very stressful. I can only imagine what it'd be like if you've got, like you say, a massive order there, or one card or 100 cards. But I think just moving off that PSA, and like we say, if there's any updates at all with this, we'll update you every week. Or if anyone wants to reach out to us, always feel free to DM us or email us. So we're always intrigued to hear people's stories and how everything went. But moving on to a couple of releases this week, obviously, as of recording this, tomorrow is the big World Cup Prizm. Some boxes have been opening a bit early, so I've been seeing them. But I think we've got to start with World Cup Prizm, because the case hits we have seen so far of the manga, which I feel like it's Marmite. I think it's going to be one of them with a couple of these cards within this set, because in the NFL, I don't really like the Tom Brady one, but I really like the Patrick Mahomes one. I like the Justin Herbert one, but it's a very, I would say it's on taste. Some people just don't like cartoony cards. I know so far we've seen the Dusan Vlahovic one, which I'm not a massive fan of, but then I've seen the Gavi one. So how, your first thought of the Magna one, do you like it, or you're a bit in between?
It very much reminds me of Project 22. That sort of cartoony, that sort of like artistic approach. For me, I think, like we said, I think it's something like Marmite, but I think there are some nice, like you said, the Gabby one out there that is quite nice. But yeah, it's only going to be a sort of a handful of the actual releases that potentially will be eye catching. Because for me, yeah, the Vlahovic looks dreadful in my opinion. But it's a case hit. It's still a big card. But yeah, it's giving me very much Project 22 vibes in this like an artistic approach. But yeah, I think there's going to be some nice cards, nice releases, nice players in that set. But for me, yeah, that Vlahovic one just, yeah, it's not a bit of me.
Yeah, so
See that Gavi one there looks really, really nice. It's got all that sort of like Marvel. Like I know, was it in Road to Qatar? They had their Marvel inserts.
yeah.
I think it was Road to Qatar, wasn't it? Yeah, it's giving me that sort of vibe, but now a case hit. So, like I said, I think that Gavi one there is really nice. Like, but yeah, the Vlahovic just was a bit random.
Yeah, like I say, I'm personally a fan of this Gabby one. I think that it's going to work really well. And lucky enough, we've actually have some pictures come in from some of these cards, and I've got to admit, I think everyone talks about national landmarks. It's always one to be talked about. And obviously, this is Hakimi's Morocco one. And I just think this one works so well. The color balance on it is just fantastic. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of the national landmarks, obviously, to see what they go for in every country. I'm obviously not going to personally pick up the Harry Kane one, but I'm always intrigued to see what do they go for with the UK, especially England, especially like do they go Big Ben? Probably an idea for it. I think there's quite a lot with the UK, but this is a lovely card, and I can see the national landmarks being just another massive hit again, and just the color balance on this one, I really like this. I have no intrigue in Hakimi, but that is a very nice card.
Yeah, definitely. I think I even saw the Gareth Bale, I think from Wales it was yesterday. I saw that on Instagram. And yeah, I think we both said, I think, an episode or two ago that the national landmarks is arguably one of the nicest sets in Prizm World Cup anyway. But yeah, no, I'm intrigued to see what the different nations have on their national landmark cards. Yeah, I think even with the Harry Kane and England one, whether they put on Big Ben, the London Eye, whatever they're going to do with it. But no, yeah, without a doubt, for me, national landmarks is the biggest and probably the best hit you can possibly get in World Cup Prizm. But yeah, for me, national landmarks is a cut above the rest.
Yeah, let's see here. This is I'm personally a big fan. I'm going to sound like a broken record here, so I do really like Prizm, always have done. But this is their auto design for it, and obviously Carlos Tevez. I think everyone remembers Carlos Tevez, especially when he had the long hair, just absolutely annihilating most teams.
The little snip on his neck as well.
Yeah. But like I said, it's a really clean design. I think that's, I'd say, a very clean design with this, and it just looks nice. It looks neat. Like I could see that in a mag looking lovely. I don't think anyone out there is really going to be like, oh, it's a horrible design. It's obviously with Prizm Autos, normally it's quite a basic design that it's just pleasing on the eye. Like I say, Tevez, great player as well. So no doubt I'm intrigued to see some of the other players. Obviously, England's auto checklist for this is not the greatest. So obviously that partly, but there is some big autos in this. So I think it's another banging design. And like we say, they had to do well with this Prizm because it's such a high print run that if it was horrible, it would flop. But by far what we've seen, I'm liking it. So like I say, I think the Tevez one's really nice. And I'd pass it on to this one because this is a different design for this one. And it's a bit different. I'm a bit undecided on this one.
It reminds me very much of like is it Impeccable from 2019? Is it Indelible Ink? It reminds me very much of like this, but also International Ink. I don't mind. I think it's quite nice because I mean, obviously in Gakpo's case, it doesn't have the color match, but whereas obviously in the away kit where you have the color match backgrounds, it could work in that sense where you've got like a really nice color match. But yeah, I still think it's a nice card design. Like I quite like the International Ink. I don't think it's going to be like an eye catcher. I don't think it's going to be one of those things where it's going to go for a lot of money with it being a nice card design. But yeah, to me, I think International Ink is quite nice. But like I said, yeah, it reminds me very much of the Indelible Ink from Impeccable. But yeah, Cody Gakpo is an incredible player as well. So yeah, so I mean with that, I think the colour match there with the yellow and also the Brazil kit, and I mean Neymar auto. I mean, what more could you want?
Yeah, the thing, like I say, it's a lovely sign. And the thing which really annoying me with this one, which I've just noticed, is the auto goes off sticker. I've just noticed that now I can't unsee it. but
it's the same with Ronaldo. A lot of Ronaldo stickers go off stickers. He goes mental with them.
Yeah, to be fair, at least he hasn't got a really simple auto, which is just a squiggle. So I think you can kind of, all right, it's not getting an auto 10, but like I say, I think a lot of people wouldn't mind that one sitting in their collection. And moving on to these are actually parallels. Obviously, Jonathan David, great player, but this is the Blue Mojo. And I think obviously it worked with the maroon in the background. It's a bit undecided. So I like to see a lot more parallels. So to see what it goes with, but it does look like a really nice card design. I think obviously this one near enough mirrors the first signatures one we showed you. It's a very nice card design. I think it's going to work really well, especially with some of the lower parallels. I think the maroon one, what they're going to have, I think it's going to, when it's all maroon, it'd be lovely. And especially it will play off quite well with some of the colours. And like you say, it's the colour match. Sadly, this one's not. So, but if it was a red parallel, I think it would look really nice, this card. And I think it's now we're just waiting for all the boxes to start being opened on Wednesday, and then we can really see some of the nice cards.
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of streams, a lot of lives on Instagram with the boxes being ripped. And I've always said, I'm not really a box breaker, or I don't really sort of enter many breaks, but I might have to make an exception for England in a box or two, because I do think these cards are really nice. And I think for us, it's probably the first World Cup that I think I've been in the hobby. We've had a World Cup sort of a World Cup Prizm. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm looking forward to seeing some nice box breaks, some nice rips, hopefully some nice pulls, and yeah, I might have to dabble in an England spot somewhere or another.
Yeah, and I think this is just a base insert, but just looks fantastic in my eyes. Obviously, being landscape as well makes it a bit different to the portrait ones, but having the flag actually looks like it's waving behind as well. Like, it's a simple card. It's not going to be an expensive card at all, but it looks great. It really does look nice. And now I'm going to have to remember all the checklist to see which ones have got the Arsenal players and not. But I think this Neymar one works really well. And I think Brazil is going to be a very expensive team during this one. Neymar, all those, Rodrigo's, Vinicius's, Kaká, I think, and like all others. But this one's such a simple design, but works really well. And I think that's what sometimes Panini do right, is simple insert, but it looks fantastic.
Yeah, I think for me that national pride is lovely. I think the flag behind it with the colour match, and I just think national pride is a really really nice insert. And I think Brazil anyway are usually an expensive team with the likes of Neymar, Vinicius, to name two of them. So yeah, I think it's going to be some interesting box breaks, going to be some interesting rips. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them, and being England, hopefully England get some nice rips and some nice pulls over in the UK.
No, definitely. I think just while we're on the sort, might as well have a quick flick through. We're not going to look at the base set, because obviously there's a lot of cards in that, and really can't be able to go through 300 at the moment. But looking at some more of the actual case hits / insert. So obviously there's a load of signatures. There's 100 different signatures in the first collection, and then believe it or not, there's another set of 100 almost. But looking at the dual signatures, first of all, the one that picked my fancy, which probably no one else is, obviously for Arsenal fans out there, is Lokonga has started signing. So you've got like a Lokonga, Charles de Ketelaere, dual auto, which could be quite intriguing to younger players. But then it's a very different set of players in this set. You've got like Diogo Jota as well. Sadly, obviously Jota's not at the World Cup, but the one that I can see selling for a big price then is the Christian Pulisic Ricardo Pepe. I think Panini know what they're doing there.
Brian,
no doubt.
Some of the league investors is going mad right now.
Yeah, it's just I can't believe it really that obviously they put both of them on it. But like I said, the England one for that is Mark White and Wayne Rooney, which, don't get me wrong, it's nice to have two former players, but I kind of like it when it's two players in the same World Cup, or a legend with a new player. But you can't really complain, I suppose, with them two. But moving down to the colour wheel, which we have seen a picture of this, and until I see a proper picture, I'm not making my final thing, because the one I see looked matte. It just looked like a matte color scheme. I was hoping it'd be more like the Color Blast. That's the shiny foil, which I think would work really well. But like I say, the 10 players on this color wheel, I don't think any of them are going to be cheap at all, because you've got Messi, speaks for itself, De Bruyne, Vinicius, Alphonso Davies, that hoping he makes the World Cup, because I know he got injured and done his hamstring this weekend, so I'm hoping he's good for the World Cup. Luka Modric, Bukayo Saka, one for all your Arsenal fans out there, Mbappe, Wirtz, Ronaldo, and Beckham. So they've brought out their top guns, haven't they, for this colour wheel set?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's even when you see it with the Color Blasts, obviously in Obsidian and Prizm, they're always top players. So yeah, they've definitely not gone lightly with the colour wheels for Prizm, but it comes with a price tag. You know, they're a case hit, and you know you're gonna put big names, big players on them sort of cards. So yeah, I mean, none of them are going to be under the £300 mark. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and manga, obviously the more of the cartoony ones that we see, the Gavi, is a 25 checklist, which is slightly bigger than the color wheel. So you got Julian Alvarez, Jeremy Doku, Charles de Catalera, Gabriel Martinelli, which I'm very intriguing to see what that looks like. Mason Mount, Phil Foden, Bukayo Saka, another one for us, Paulo Dybala, Manuel Neuer, Karim Adeyemi, Heung-min Son, Hervin Lozano, Matthias de Ligt, Virgil van Dijk, Robert Lewandowski, Diogo Jota, Dusan Vlahovic, which there's some pictures out there, Pedri, Gavi, Mikel Oyarzabal. I have to put a Spanish accent on that one because otherwise it's going to be absolutely dreadful. Christian Pulisic, Ricardo Pepe, Weston McKennie, Darwin Núñez. So it's a very different list. And what strikes me of that one is all current players but Jurgen Klinsmann. So how did Jurgen Klinsmann manage to get in that list?
It's really random having just throw him in at number 25. It's odd. I like how they've done it with current players though. I think with a lot of the autos they were. I think you probably get away with the autos being the past players, should we say? But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of those cards, especially with manga, because I think some going to be nice, some maybe not so nice, some too cartoony. So, but yeah, it's just they're just randomly thrown Jurgen Klinsmann in the end there. It's a bit odd. If they'd done sort of like a current and a legend in every nation, fair enough. But yeah, to have a current list of players and then randomly throw Jurgen Klinsmann at the end, it's very surprising.
Yeah, I'm going to talk the national landmarks now. However, I'm not pronouncing all these because I'm definitely going to butcher some of the names, especially the players from Saudi Arabia and Qatar. But the thing what I'm intrigued about this, and I'm waiting for it, is out of this 31-person card checklist, number 10 in it is called not listed. So I was going through it the other day, and out of the 32 countries, there's 31 named, and the one country that hasn't got it, France. So they've either forgot that they've not done France, or are they just going to break the internet and it's going to be an Mbappe? It's going to be Mbappe with the Eiffel Tower behind him and going to be an expensive card. But picking out a few of these, obviously, we've seen the Hakimi one, but some of these are going to be lovely. Obviously, Vinicius is going to be a big one, first World Cup. Harry Kane's obviously the England one. I know Gus, who we had on here a few weeks ago, is going to be very happy with the Kai Havertz national landmarks. Thomas Partey, the sole Arsenal player in the checklist. Ochoa from Mexico, obviously, realistically, I think he only has one good period every 4 years, and that is at the World Cup, which is quite a nice one to see. De Jong's another one. Bruno's a good one at Portugal, even though I thought they was going to go for Ronaldo. Sadio Mane, Pedri, why not? Because you might as well milk the most out of him at the moment. Lim Yan Sommer for Switzerland. We're going past that one. Christian Pulisic is going to be another massive one for United States spot. And obviously Gareth Bale for wow. So there's some massive cards in there. And like you say, I'm just really intrigued to see what some of these landmarks they go with are.
Yeah, I think it's always exciting, as we said, obviously to watch the breaks, but to see some of these national landmarks pulled and to see what card designs they've come out for different countries and seeing what they've put on these cards is going to be exciting. But yeah, I mean they've thrown some big names in there, and as you say, it's interesting to see the not listed one. And I mean, by judging off some of the cards they've put on the colour wheels, it would not surprise me if they threw a Mbappe at these national landmarks. I mean, for me, if it was a William Saliba, I mean, that's going to break the internet as well. But yeah, I think judging off the checklist so far, it would not surprise me if that's going to be a Kylian Mbappe, unless they have forgotten to put France in there.
Yeah, it'd be very intriguing to see. And the one we said before that looked really nice, obviously, is the National Pride set, which I think is going to be a nice one. And I hadn't looked at this one yet. So the one that to pick out from the England one is Phil Foden. So, like I say, very good choice. Neymar's obviously the one we showed earlier on. Yuri Tillemans, Messi's no doubt going to be a nice one. It's a really good list of players in this one. And Nkunku for France, which is quite a nice one because obviously he's not had that much stuff, especially Panini wise. So that's going to be a good one. See Muller, I think that's a very good one to pick for Germany. Van Dijk's you're going to see quite a lot. Obviously Lewandowski, Ronaldo, Vlahovic makes another appearance. Shaqiri for Switzerland, no comment. Gio Reyna for United States. Cavani for Uruguay, who, to be honest, I completely forgot still plays football. Edson Cavani. But like I say, I hope, I don't know if they will or not, I really hope the Phil Foden one is when he's got his bleach blonde hair from the last Euros. I think that would look incredible.
That would be so iconic as well. Like, given England, I know we got to the final, whatever, we're not going to talk about that. But yeah, I think having that with his bleach blonde hair going into the World Cup, that would be such a clean picture. So hopefully Tops listen and listen to the podcast and get Foden with his bleach blonde hair on that national pride. But yeah, it's the checklist speaks for itself, and hopefully we can start getting involved in some box breaks and seeing some nice cars pulled.
Definitely. And I think by the time this episode obviously comes out, it'll be the day before. And then next week's episode, hopefully we'll be able to show you a lot more pictures from different cards, because obviously the sheer amount of cases that are going to be ripped within the first week is going to be ridiculous. There'll be literally cases left, right, centre, box breaks, player breaks. So definitely be one to watch out. And there was another release this week, which was obviously a bit more low key, and it's divided opinion a bit, was Topps Deco. Obviously, it's a bit of a, I'm still about the set from last year. Obviously, Arsenal went in it last year, Arsenal in it this year. I don't know if you've had any early thoughts about the pictures that you've seen of it, what you make of Deco.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad set. I think there is a lot of potential. For me, it gives me really big Leaf vibes, where obviously they haven't got the correct sponsors or the correct sort of, approval from certain sponsors to have the official kits on the cards. I think for me, obviously with the Arsenal card, the triple auto that we've got on there, it's like Seaman, Keown, and who's the third one?
Burkamp.
That's it. Yeah, obviously without having the O2 logo sponsor, on the kit. So yeah, it's an interesting release. But there's some lovely cards in there, and hopefully they can finally get some sponsorships going and get those on the kits. That's the triple auto there. Obviously missing the O2 sponsorship. So yeah, it's a lovely set, and hopefully we can start seeing some sponsors coming on soon.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's one of them sets that some cards in it are generally nice and some are a bit iffy. Like for an Arsenal fan, Saliba's got his first Arsenal auto in a Topps/Panini product. There's a dual auto of Ian Wright and Gabriel Jesus. So, like I say, it's going to be an interesting set, and it'll be one of them that who knows how long it's going to take for them to be delivered. It could be a couple of months still. So it's still very far out from seeing what the cards really look like and what the boxes look like. But like I say, it's going to be an intriguing set. It's a bit different. So looking forward to seeing that when they do start emerging. And I think obviously we're on the line of your favorite company that you're wearing at the moment. Any luck yet with the Project 22 Arsenal?
No. I know tomorrow, obviously on the day of recording, tomorrow is the next release for the next week. So, I mean, I'm hoping, I don't know what I'd say anymore. Like, I'm not even going to say anything. Like, yeah, no is the answer to your question. Been no luck with Arsenal yet. So yeah, I've got no further comments on that, because I say the same thing every week, and I never get any luck with the release the following few days. So yeah, just apart from disappointment, not much else.
Until it's funny enough, as we're literally discussing this, Brazil have literally just announced their World Cup squad. And obviously, everyone who knows my trading, they know I love Gabriel. Sadly, he is not going to the World Cup, so he's got a nice little break. However, Gabriel Jesus is going to the World Cup, and Gabriel Martinelli has made the squad, which is fantastic. Fantastic to see. A, he's been fantastic for us this season, and B, no doubt his cards have just gone even up in price. So no doubt, knowing our luck, he's going to score the winning goal in the World Cup for Brazil, and then his base Merlin refractor is going to be about £1,000. So, but like I say, it's great to see. But now it's going to be quite intriguing to see like the World Cup cards and who's in the squads, who's not in the squads, because sadly there'll be some players who have put in the checklist. Like, for example, Smith Rowe's got a couple of cards in it. Sadly, he's not going to go to he's not going to go to World Cup because he's injured to January. So it's always nice to have the cards of the players who have gone to a tournament. Like So it'd be quite intriguing. We'll actually probably talk about that next week of like who's missing from the World Cup squads and who's not, because like I say, it's a massive talk point anyway, like who's going, but there'll be some main absences or some people get surprise call-ups. But otherwise, obviously, we always like talking about our pickups for the week. And I've picked up a couple of bits this week, but I'm going to let you start. So have you picked up anything? And obviously, we know you got the Wenger in the post today, which come in a penny bag. So, but anything else you've picked up or received?
Yeah, obviously got the Wenger sticker today. I also try and collect as many variations as I can of the Konrad Laimer from Club Chrome Bundesliga, where he's in the go kart. I picked up the gold refractor to 50 and the green electric to 175. Picked those two up off eBay, so that's there. I think we've got 6 different variations now of the Lima. Slightly off topic of cards, got a little Lando Norris 1-5 scale of his basketball helmet from Miami Grand Prix. So that's a cool little addition to the display. Otherwise, that is it. I think. Yeah, that is it. What about yourself?
I think I've actually probably bought a similar amount of cars this week than I have since the start of the podcast. Just for the fact is, I moved my Kimi Raikkonen PC along. I thought I'd let someone else appreciate it because it was sitting in my case, and I was like, I'd rather pick up a few Arsenal bits with that money. So I have bought a lovely women's lot, which consists of 4 all O's, a to 25, a to 75, a couple of to 99s, which will be in my American box waiting for it to be shipped out in December, which will be a great video when it comes over. But very happy with that. So I've ticked off the Beth Mead Auto as well, which will be going for grading when that does arrive. But then also today, I picked up a to 25 Merlin Gabriel card for the rainbow that I'm trying to complete. And I've got my eyes on a red wave to 5 on American eBay at the moment. So I'm going to try and cut a deal for that. But it's just now I'm going to try and get in a few breaks. So I think that's what I'm really looking forward to now is getting some of these case breaks. Obviously, I think Saliba is going to be quite expensive. So probably, well, will be Granit Xhaka, one of my spots. But like I say, it'd be great to get some of the Saliba cards. But at the moment, that is it for the pickups. There's a few other minor ones, but they're Lottie Wobermoy to 99, which I've literally got for 99 cents in America, which was fantastic.
I think all of those weeks that you haven't picked anything up, I think you've literally made up for all of those weeks this week. Like, yeah, you've picked up a lot, which obviously literally a lot of women's chrome. So, but no, yeah, I think all those weeks that you haven't picked anything up, you think you've well and truly made up for it with this episode, with your pickups from the last week. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that. It was funny enough, I was literally in the car coming back from Chelsea away as I was. It was a double victory as I was watching Arsenal women watching their game on BBC against Leicester, and they won that 4-0 as well. So it was a very good day yesterday for everything Arsenal wise. But like I say, I think I think that now with the World Cup coming out, I think the hobby's getting. I've seen quite a lot of activity this week with like buying, selling, people just talking in the hobby. And I think obviously the card shows always help having the London Card Show a couple of weeks ago that people are still riding the high from that. There's obviously a few shows coming up that we are hopefully going to be giving you some more information on and also giving you what one we're heading down to very soon, which is what we're very much looking forward to and doing some content there whilst at the show, buying, selling, and a few other bits. So, like I say, it's been an interesting week. I don't know if there's anything else you want to bring up within the hobby in the last week or anything, but feel free.
To be fair, mate, I think we've pretty much covered everything that's happened in the last week. Obviously, we've got we've got South Coast card just coming up in a couple of weeks, isn't it? I think it's Munich this weekend. So we've got a couple of shows coming up, obviously in Europe. But it's counting down to Christmas now, really, isn't it? Hate to say it, start of November. Christmas is soon fastly approaching. But no, yeah, in the hobby, I think we have pretty much covered every possible event that's happened in the last week. Obviously, PSA UK being the big talking point.
100%. And I think like I say, hopefully next week we'll be joined by someone which we're working on now. If not, we'll bring you all the latest views and everything. And if you ever have any questions or want to bring any points up on the podcast, always feel free to contact us at the Top Load Podcast on Instagram, or even one of our own accounts like Drake Cards or HA Cards UK, because we're always up for talking points or discussions, or if anything's had any views or stories from the hobby that you want us to talk about or just get across, always feel free to reach out to us. But like I say, it's going to be a very intriguing week, so stay close attention to our social medias, as we might be making an announcement at some point this week about the show we're going to next and our next guest. But like I say, it's been another great week. It's been a busy week for picking up and buying, so now I'm going to have to have some nice bread for the next week and a bit of soup. But otherwise, it's going to be a bundle
Even
of
that's
fun.
pushing it, innit?
Yeah, only if I can get you on that like yellow sticker deal when it's like literally passing its date. But otherwise, and it's been another great episode. And like I say, thank you ever so much for all the support so far, especially on the YouTube channel, because it's gone very well. Actually, I thought we were going to get about 5 views, and I think we was in over 140 as last we saw. So, like I say, there's got a lot more content coming to the YouTube very soon. Not just the podcast, which we're looking forward to bringing you. So. Otherwise, from that, we hope everyone stays safe out there and has a lovely time in the hobbying. Don't spend too much on World Cup Prizm, because I know it's going to be very tempting. But in other terms, happy hobbying and good night.